through African eyes. And I would imagine a lot of you, excuse me, can I get that drink down there, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. I think a lot of people heard one of the radio programs, excuse me, on either KJLH on Wednesday morning, and thanks again to Jamal for hooking that up, or Intervisions on Tuesday night. Now, I just got to town Monday afternoon, and Monday I had a free day with my family. I always got to do that. And then on Tuesday, I stayed up, didn't take a nap, to do the interview at 11 o'clock. And then I didn't have an alarm clock. You know, I'm in my mother's house, and they go to bed like at 9 o'clock. Right? Everything is quiet. I'm lonely over there, y'all, just to let you know. And so I decided that instead of going to sleep and taking a chance of oversleeping, I would stay up for the other interview at 4:30 in the morning. And I still don't know how Jamal and Carl do that so consistently, 4:30 in the morning. But there were all kinds of sounds going on in the studio that morning. So maybe y'all aren't as smooth as I thought. I mean, no disrespect. And then I was groggy and sleepy, so I don't hardly remember what I said. Ojo gave me a tape so I get a chance to listen to it. But basically tonight, what I'm going to do is to divide this talk up into, I think, 5 parts. Now, the first part, the biggest part, will be an overview of my recent trip to India. I was in India, I'm happy to say, from March 31st to April 21st, by myself. 21 days on the other side of the world, with most people who have never seen a black person from outside India before, brothers and sisters, who spoke several different languages, none of which I understood. And the person who was supposed to escort me, after 2 days, said he had to go to another part of the country, but he was sure I would be okay. So I'm going to tell you about that. And then I'm going to show you some slides. Some of you have been following me for years, and you will have seen some of these slides, but I would imagine some of you too, and it's refreshing to see new people. Will be seeing them for the first time. And there'll be slides from work I've been doing on the African presence in India since 1980, as well as a few new ones from the trip. And then I'm doing, one of the reasons I went over there, in fact, perhaps the major reason, is to set the tone and iron out the rough edges for an African-centered tour of India that will take place in March 1999. It'll be the first one. And naturally, my ego insists that I be the one to coordinate that trip. Okay, I'm going to do that. So that's next March, and I'm going to tell you about that. And hopefully even some people will be able to go. And then we'll have a discussion period. If we have the time, I'd like to know what you think about all this information. Now, India is obviously very important to me because it has the largest concentration of black people in any one country in the world. But I want to know, are we connecting there? Do you still see the significance of that? When I first started to do this presentation, way back around 1980 or 81, no, a little earlier than that, about 1983, a sister angrily said, don't we have enough problems over here? Why do you want to be looking at black people in India? Okay? So we'll talk about that. And then the last bit of business, you got the flyers. I hope you'll respond. But of course, we have to do something to finance this because we are working for each other. So let me tell you what we have tonight. Now, Brother Kidi Obi Owadu, who is a remarkable young man, he's a couple years younger than me, so I call him a young man. I did this presentation, very similar to what I'm going to do in a few minutes, at the African Cultural Center in Long Beach last night. I think Charlie was there, Chiquetta was there, Kidi was there. Anybody else there? Oh, wow. Dedicated souls. Thank you, Sister Marco. I didn't even recognize her. And this is a presentation in this tape right here. Now, Kidi, they just taped the thing last night. I didn't get in until about midnight. And here I am. He comes to me with a bag, with the videotape, labeled Runoko Rashidi. The only flaw is in it, Runoko is spelled with one wrong letter. Runoko Rashidi, down at the Black Untouchables of India, African Cultural Center of Long Beach. And this is the cover. Isn't that nice? Isn't that excellent work? Signed I'm very grateful to you, Petey. I don't know where you are. There you go, brother. Give him a round of applause one more time. And a few other things. Now, one of the things I like about it is because it corresponds to this book that I'm promoting. You see? Now, that's excellent. It really is good work. So the tape is $20, only 20 bucks. It slides and everything basically I'm going to do tonight. So if you have to run out or something, or if you want to get the tape that I'm doing this evening, you can take it with you. We do have a few of these, and only 5 of these books. Okay? And then, from India itself, are 2 lecture presentations, one in a city called Nagpur in the center of the country, and another in a place called Trivandrum, where I was with the Kerala Dalit Panthers, who named themselves as the Black Panther Party, and one last presentation called Great African Historians that I did in New York with Dr. John Henry Clark just in March. Anyway, that's the business. Now, book is 10, these are 20, and these are $5. And last but not least, we have the distinguished editor, who is also my dear friend, Jaquetta Parham of Rhythm of the Drum. And this is one other thing you can pick up if you like. You see the photograph right here? The sister is fine, isn't she? Beautiful. Yeah. She's a black woman from South Central India. Okay, and this is a photograph that South Central, I always got to be. And always, man. And this is how I felt when I was over there, too. This is one of the photographs I collected when I was a student at UCLA in 1980. And it's in this article here called The African Presence in India, a Historical Overview. And this is basically what I'm going to talk about tonight. So if you want to purchase one of these are only $3. I think that's almost like giving it away. You can frame the photographs, it's very nice. And again, I used to be like Jamal. I used to have problems, promoting these things, but I don't anymore. Because if we are going to change the world, we got to finance it. And if we don't, somebody else is going to subvert it. And you can't get away from it. All right. Now, what's all this about? I threw your magazine over there. That was... March 31st, I went to India. And this is a trip that I have been dreaming about for some time. I developed an interest in... Y'all with me so far? One last thing, give the good life a good round of applause for letting us have this program. I took an interest in India way back about 1977. Actually, before that. And I met LeGrand Clay. And before that, I had been reading Destruction of Civilizations by Chancellor Williams in particular. And the thing that the young brother, LeGrand, had, and the old brother, Dr. James, had, for some reason we never called we very rarely called Chancellor Williams Dr. Williams. But he's Dr. Williams, Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben. But Chancellor Williams, Dr. Williams, they talked about a time in history before the advent of the slave experience. All too often it is asserted that that is where our history begins, with Chicken George, on a slave ship, or in the jungle. And I certainly believe that. I went for it. I was just as brainwashed as anybody growing up. I went to school right here. I grew up in Los Angeles, went to Washington High School, and then I went to Cal State Northridge, and then I went to UCLA. And I grew up with a strong sense of inferiority. I grew up with a shackled mind. And to some extent, it's still there because we have to work on those shackles all the time. This is a deeply embedded process that we're going through. And it takes a while to rid ourselves of its impurities. And for me, I admit, it's a day-to-day struggle. And Chancellor Williams would talk about black people all over the world. Palestine, Mesopotamia, and India. And I never heard of anything like that. And then LeGrand, who was a dear friend of mine and the city attorney of Compton, and just an outstanding brother, and somebody I really learned a lot from, did a more comprehensive work. And finally, around 1980, LeGrand, myself, Asa Hilliard, Richard King, Nzinga, Heteru, we all formed an organization called IMENTA. And it was a California-wide black think tank. And we were told, and I was about, I guess in my late 20s at the time, I was full of energy, full of enthusiasm. And I was told that everybody in the group would have to take a special area and focus on that and become an expert in it. So I was collecting information about